December 7, 2025. Daily Bread. Passage. Acts chapter 27 verse 13 to 26. Key verse. Verse 24. Title: Paul shepherds his captors too. Now when the south wind blew gently, supposing that they had obtained their purpose, they weighed anchor and sailed along Crete, close to the shore. But soon a tempestuous wind, called the northeaster, struck down from the land. And when the ship was caught and could not face the wind, we gave way to it, and were driven along. Running under the lee of a small island called Crete, we managed with difficulty to secure the ship's boat. After hoisting it up, they used supports to undergird the ship. Then, fearing that they would run aground on the Syrtis, they lowered the gear, and thus they were driven along. Since we were violently storm-tossed, they began the next day to jettison the cargo. And on the third day they threw the ship's tackle overboard with their own hands. When neither sun nor stars appeared for many days, and no small tempest lay on us, all hope of our being saved was at last abandoned. Since they had been without food for a long time, Paul stood up among them and said, "Men, you should have listened to me and not have set sail from Crete and incurred this injury and loss. Yet now I urge you to take heart, for there will be no loss of life among you, but only of the ship. For this very night there stood before me an angel of the God to whom I belong and whom I worship. And he said, 'Do not be afraid, Paul, you must stand before Caesar. And behold, God has granted you all those who sail with you. So take heart, men, for I have faith in God that it will be exactly as I have been told. But we must run aground on some island.'" Daily Bread message. The sailors didn't like the idea of spending the winter at Fair Havens and wanted to go to Crete instead. Perhaps the night life was better. When they saw their opportunity, they set out, but they were set upon by hurricane winds. The ship was battered and blown, and the storm endured so many days, all aboard began to give up hope. At the time, Paul stood up to address them with a mild rebuke, followed by a strong encouragement not to give up. How could he be so calm? An angel of the Lord appeared to him to remind him of the purpose of his journey, to stand trial before Caesar. Paul was just a prisoner, but in God's eyes, he was the key person on this ship, and all the others were his sheep, whom God would graciously protect and spare. Paul received comfort from God in his troubles. He understood one reason for this was so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. Prayer. Father, thank you for comforting me in my dire moments, often through the love of others. Please help me to comfort others in their dire moments, as a shepherd like Paul and like Jesus. One word. Do not be afraid, God is with us.